I don't know if you heard, but a new Pokemon game came out a few weeks ago. It's probably a little bit later than a few weeks, but don't worry about that. I've kind of been procrastinating. It's fine. It was released to mostly, oh, Jesus. It was released to the reviews ever, but such is the way of Pokemon fans. And I should know. I am one. This generation definitely tried some new things in the realm of Pokemon, and tried it did. I had really, really high hopes for this game after the release of Legends Arceus, and I was like, man, Pokemon finally has its shit together, and we're gonna get an epic open world adventure with level scaling and, huh? What? They didn't add the level scaling? I thought they said they were gonna add the level scaling. What the fuck? Alright, let's start this off by tackling the setting and environment of this game. This new generation of Pokemon had so much potential to feel more lively, but instead we got massive swatches of land, scattered with a few bunches of Pokemon, a few trees, a few patches of grass, kind of plopped in towns. Looking at you, Elfrenata. But aside from the randomly placed in towns and stretches of emptiness, I didn't really have that big of an issue with the overworld of Scarlet and Violet. I really liked how each town had its own sort of culture and vibe, and how the gym leaders had their own sort of things going on outside of their gym duties. But by far my favorite part of this game was the entirety of Area Zero. I loved Area Zero so much. I loved venturing into this huge chasm full of unknown Pokemon from either the far-off future or the distant past. I chose the far-off future because I liked how the box legendary looked like a Robo-Reptile. But let's talk about the music. That music was a bop. I love Area Zero's music. I'm gonna throw ass. I love that music so much. It made exploring this area so much more enjoyable. Another thing that I liked about the creator was the feeling of unease and absence you got going down there. Like, you felt like you should not be there, seeing the broken down buildings and stuff, and these, like, monsters of Pokemon. It really solidified that feeling. Before we move on, just a small little friendly reminder to subscribe if you like me being loud over dumb shit, or else I'll come to your house. And I'll take every single one of your left socks, and you won't find them. You'll forever be left sockless. Thanks! Oh boy, the characters. It's honestly been such a long time since I've genuinely enjoyed a cast of characters in a Pokemon game. Between the actually serious but well-meaning rivalry between you and Nemona to the vibe of the Team Star admins, there really isn't anything that I found particularly egregious with the character writing in this game. I did have a little bit of an issue with how the professor seemed early game, but oh boy, that was clarified later. A little funny thing that I thought when I first saw this game's trailer was the fact that I was convinced that Clavel was gonna be the big bad guy, but instead he ended up being like a cool, well-meaning guy. He just wanted to do what he could to make sure all of the students at the academy were fine. I also love the gym leaders. I said this earlier. I love how they had little lives and jobs that they talked about outside their gym leader duties, and I really did not care for the Elite Four. To me, they weren't as fleshed out as the gym leaders and previous Elite Four members, and the only two exceptions are Rika and Larry. Larry was a gym leader. With Rika, you see her from time to time while completing the gym portion of the story, and with that, you get a better feel of how she is. You really don't get that with the rest of the Elite Four, because you don't see them as much. Lastly, I did not care for Geeta. Her design was meh. Her hair looked like a fucking rat's nest. I didn't like her. What the hell were they thinking? Even the gym leaders in-game don't like her. Tell me why her King Gambit was always her third Pokemon when its ability makes it stronger for each Pokemon that faints before it. And why is her Ace a setup Pokemon? It drops spikes when it gets hit. What? Jesus Christ, I need a drink. She is easily the worst champion. I beat her in one run. You can't make this shit up. She's awful. I'm a sucker for character design. Being an artist, I love character design. It's cool, it's fun. But Pokemon fills that little niche hole in my mothy heart perfectly. Like, yeah, sure, there are some designs this generation that were kind of stupid, like Wiglet and Wugtrio and Orthworm and Flamigo, but the majority of designs this generation kind of go goofy. For example, we have Frigibax's line. He starts off looking like a goofy little guy. He kind of looks like a frog or like a sloth to me. I don't know, that's just me. But it evolves into Godzilla.
Run! It's Godzilla! It looks like Godzilla, but due to international copyright laws, it's not.
That's f***ing awesome. Another example this generation is of all of the Paradox Pokemon, but mostly the Violet ones because that's the version that I played. Holy hell, they put most of their time into these because they go absolutely insane. Look what they did with Volcarona with Iron Moth. I may be a little bit biased, being a moth, but hey, you can't deny it's a good design. The same with Iron Valiant. The fusion between Gallade and Gardevoir is perfect. Okay, I might be a little bit biased because I also really like Slitherwing. I think he's really cool. He's fluffy, he's cool, I like him. But I really hope they keep this kind of character design up in future games. But I don't know, who knows? Some generations are hit or miss. Major spoilers for the plot of the game if you could not have guessed. Arven's storyline is the best in the game. I will not hear otherwise. It made me cry because I was so happy that Arven helped his little Mabostiff. Like, it was such a wholesome little moment. I loved it. Starfall Street was neat, but what the f was up with the river rooms and the fact that you couldn't hit them with any status condition? Like any. You couldn't poison them, you couldn't sleep them, you couldn't f***ing salt cure them, and I needed that. I needed the damage tick. That ruined it for me. I did not like it. I have nothing to say about the gym route, because it's just the same thing we've been doing for years in Pokemon games anyway, so I'm not gonna waste your time talking about shit that you most likely already know about. The ending of the game, it went hard. It went crazy. Could it have been way better? Yeah, of course. But this whole game could have been better if Game Freak got more than like 15 people to collectively work on it. Like, I was expecting some plot twist where the professor was gonna like brainwash Miraidon or Koraidon or something, but nah, they just straight up killed the professor. That's crazy. They just straight up killed him. Like, we watch Arven go through the most gut-wrenching trauma that anyone could ever experience. This dude finds out his parent died years ago and was replaced with an AI. Then he watches his AI parent attack his friends and then sacrifice himself to shut down the time machine? That's crazy. That's insane. But, hey, the boss music went crazy. Thanks, Toby Fox. Scarlet and Violet had such huge potential going into things. With Legends Arceus being a decent looking game on the Switch, I had really high hopes for this game, and I was disappointed to say the least. The frame rate drops, these weren't particularly game breaking, but they were more annoying than anything. Like, a really good example of this was when I was playing towards the end game, working on finishing up the Team Star storyline with the Fairy Leader. My Switch did not like the flower petal and water effects at all. It dropped from like 30 frames to like 10. And I really just chalked this up to my Switch being like a gazillion years old because I got it back in like, shit, I don't remember when the Switch released. I don't know, but it's old. It's probably just in actual pain while running this area, but reading reviews and stuff from people made me realize that this game was just horribly optimized. Like, tell me why a multi-billion-dollar game company can only afford to hire 5 debug testers. There's only 5 of them. I checked. I heard this shit on Twitter, and then I went and checked in the credits. There were 5 of them. How does that happen? I legit can't help but feel bad for these people because they had to play and clear this game in a super short amount of time, probably more than once. But the amount of things that they missed, it's crazy. It's so crazy. The camera in Scarlet and Violet also has a little bit of a tendency to clip through the ground a lot, especially when the Pokemon, like, are shorter, so they're closer to the ground or you're battling on a hill or something. Not particularly game-breaking, but it's just annoying, and it kind of rips the immersion out a little bit. Let's get into those little things that bother me in Scarlet and Violet. Pokemon don't sleep anymore. Like, at all. They have little blinking and sleep animations in the picnic area, but in battle, they just don't use them. All other Pokemon games had this, where the Pokemon close their eyes and their idle animation slows down a chunk to simulate them being asleep, but not in Scarlet and Violet. I guess they just sleep with their eyes open over there in Paldea? I don't know. Update. As of the 1.1.0 update, Pokemon can sleep again. They fixed it. I am so happy that they fixed it because it genuinely got on my nerves. Another thing that really bothered me was the amount of dev cubes that I saw throughout my playthrough. If you don't know what a dev cube is, it's something that game devs use as a reference point in rooms to either trigger a cutscene or some other story-based event. In Scarlet and Violet, at least from what I could find, the dev cubes take the form of the Pokeball of your first party Pokemon. The amount of these that I found throughout my playthrough was wild. Like, there was one particularly annoying instance where I encountered a dev Pokeball with the last Titan Pokemon. After me and my Pokemon fought valiantly against this titanic beast and it fell to the dirt, we ventured into the cave to retrieve the final Herba Mystica to help heal our Miraidon and our good old pal Arven's Mabostiff. And there it was, a Pokeball, right there, in the middle of the room, for the entire cutscene. I don't know about you, but that was a little bit of an immersion break, if you'd ask me. That's it. That's my unsolicited opinion on Scarlet and Violet. Yeah, it had some ups and downs, mostly downs, but I enjoyed it overall. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go get verbally abused in Overwatch 2, the worst sequel, if you can even really call it that, of all time. See ya.